For Black History Month, we wanted to celebrate everyday Black Canadians who are doing remarkable and inspirational things, especially those in leadership positions. This week, we speak to an inspirational Black woman who is at the forefront of one of the world's most recognizable brands, BG Squad. Meet Lola, who leads Uber Eats Canada. Lola, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. You know, we're in such an important month, and I wanted to start off by asking you, what does Black History Month mean to you?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, so much has happened, I think, over the past year, in so many ways, I think, in all of our lives.
The life of every Canadian was affected this year by the fight against the pandemic.
We've all been living through this global pandemic, which I think has shaken us to our core. But I think it's also been a year where we have really, I think, everyone just come alive and in some ways awakened.
The wave of outrage sweeping across the country after the death of George Floyd under the knee of a white officer.
Racism is real. It's in the United States, but it's also in Canada.
To some of the systematic issues that affect people of color and in particular Black people.
Yeah, and I want to take a step back and kind of go through your journey and talk about education, because I know that has been a strong foundation in your life.
Sure. Yeah, I was, I've had a really privileged life and background, particularly when it comes to education. So I grew up in Toronto. I was, born and raised in North York. But I was really privileged to have the opportunity after high school to go to Harvard for my undergraduate degree. And after that, I moved to the UK and did my master's at the London School of Economics, which was fantastic.
Lola, I have to ask you, did you ever get a chance to meet Obama?
Sadly, I did not, but you know what? I feel like it's not too late. I feel like it's not too late. It's still around. We're gonna make it happen at some point. It's gotta happen.
You have worked in so many different places, including in Nigeria for Uber.
For me, it was fascinating, but I think I've always, I've loved to travel. I've loved to learn about different parts of the world. And so I was really excited when I got the opportunity to work first in Liberia, in West Africa, and then for quite a long time in Nigeria.
I think it's so important for our viewers to recognize even the high position that you hold and the fact that you're the general manager for Uber Eats right here in Canada. I would love to know, what advice do you have for young Black women who we hear and we know far too often have to deal with systemic challenges, whether that's pertaining to their hair or the texture of the hair, the tone of their skin? What words of comfort or advice do you have for them?
You can do it. You are exceptional. It doesn't matter what your background is or what you look like. There's nothing, honestly, that I think, internally you should, have as something that's going to hold you back. So I'd say, look for the people who can inspire you, right? Look for the people who you think are exceptional in the field, that you want to be in. They may look like you, they may not look like you, right? But they may be somebody who wants to help you get there. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think there's a lot of people, of course, a lot of ambitious people, and I think Black women especially, who feel the need to kind of, be independent and, prove that you're strong and that you can do things on your own. And that's fantastic, right? Of course, I really value that independence, but I'd say also don't be afraid to ask for help when that help can get you to where you want to go to that next level even faster.
Statistics have shown that Black women as a segment of the population are one of the most educated cohorts in our society. But when you look at the job market in corporations and leadership in these corporations, we're not seeing them in those positions. So what does corporate Canada need to do to change this?
So number one is, I think, making it clear, I think having examples of the fact that there are many Black women, Black people in leadership roles that we actually don't know about. So I'm actually really excited to be talking to you today because I do think representation is important, but I do think it's critical, for companies, Uber, for example, where I work, to be very transparent and clear about where we are in terms of representation throughout the company. So, starting from, entry level up to leadership, where are we and where do we want to go?
As you're talking, I keep hearing Prime Minister Lola. Prime Minister Lola. No, honestly, it sounds good. It sounds good.
Thank you, Brendan. Who knows? Who knows? But I'm busy enough right now, but who knows?
And I love the fact that you talked about what Uber is doing, because so many people that I've talked with have been trying to figure out what should companies be doing, who should they emulate, and many people have pointed to Uber and that Uber energy that we witnessed, especially during the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement and all of that energy surrounding that. So as a Black woman, but as a leader in this company, how did that make you feel?
I mean, it was really, really exciting, because essentially the CEO of our company came out and said very early on that this is the stance, right? That Uber wants to be an anti-racist company. So for example, saying, hey, if you don't believe in the anti-racism, if this isn't something you aspire to, delete the app. And it's really exciting for me that we were able to support Black-owned restaurants in the US and Canada, with, free delivery on their, for their orders for quite some period of time. That kind of thing, that's kind of, I think, not just a statement, but also showing that real support. For me, that was really, really exciting. And then of course, as a Black leader in the company, something I really wanted to make sure that we could get behind.
Are you hopeful for the future that we're gonna start to see those breaking of the barriers?
I am 100% hopeful. It's so clear to me, that, the potential of our youth, Black youth of all different backgrounds, it's just so evident. So I'm extremely hopeful, but I think that some of the events of the past year, the kind of events and the kind of history that we're reflecting on this month are just kind of bringing to the fore the fact that we want to make change and that we want to see things move along even faster. So I'm very hopeful.
Lola, thank you so much for being an inspiration and for being open and honest.
Thank you for having me, Brendan.
That was real inspiration, right? No, really. She could be Prime Minister Lola one day. But I also just want to take a moment to thank Uber Eats Canada for believing in our show and our mission to amplify Black voices and stories. That's what I call a real one.